Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video we're gonna review Nikon D5100 and we're gonna try to find out whether this camera is still relevant in 2022 because it's almost the year end. Can you still get great results with this camera or not? So guys, before I begin the video, I would request if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe because in this channel you're gonna get a lot of reviews about the old cameras, whether it's Nikon camera or Canon camera or Sony camera, and you also get a lot of reviews about different lenses that I try out, and also a lot of photography tutorials as well guys. So please do subscribe to the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new video guys. So let's begin the video guys. So this is how this camera looks like. It's a 10-year-old camera because this camera was launched back in 2011 and it's a 16 megapixel sensor. If you talk about the ISO range for this camera, it goes from 100 to 6400 and you can boost it up to 25,000. But the ISO range 100 to 6400 is good enough. You can get very decent results even in low light situation. And the autofocus system is having 11 autofocus point, out of which the center one is the cross type, and the autofocus on this camera works perfectly fine for most of the situations. Even if you are trying to autofocus in slightly dim light, it still works pretty fine. In the video also it works perfectly fine. If you talk about the weight of this camera, it's around 550 grams, and with this lens combination it works out to be around 700 gram, and it's a pretty solid and decent camera with a nice grip. And this is of course a crop sensor camera, so no matter which lens of Nikon you use, so you have to multiply the focal length by 1.5 times crop factor to get the effective focal length for this camera. If you talk about the video aspect for this camera, it can shoot up to full HD 30 frame per second, which is a really nice video resolution if you want to put it on YouTube, because still in 2021 and 22 most of the videos being uploaded on YouTube or watched on YouTube are mostly in full HD, because like the mobile data that we have, we try to save the data on that one. Most of the time we are watching the video on 720p or even lesser to save the data. Most of the time if we watch on our laptop or on smart TV, then only we use 4K, but full HD are still good enough in 2022 as well. If you talk about the frame per second on this camera, it can shoot up to 4 frame per second. So in 1 second 4 photos, not bad actually, but yeah, not great either. So you cannot use this for sports photography or wildlife photography, but for portrait photography and nature photography, landscape photography, this will work great, because the dynamic range for this camera is very good. It's 13.6, which is awesome. So you can get really nice dynamic range photo, HDR photo with this camera, even without having to use exposure bracketing. And yeah, talking about exposure bracketing, yeah, you can do exposure bracketing on this camera. So you can shoot multiple images with different exposure, and later on you can combine them to form a HDR photo. You can also do time-lapse photography on this camera. And yeah guys, you also have microphone input on this camera, so you can attach external microphone on this camera to get really nice professional audio. And also the screen on this camera is a very angle fully articulating screen, so it can be moved in front. So if you are doing a self vlogging or if you are recording your own video, this is very handy because you can see yourself in the frame and then you can accordingly sit and get yourself in the frame guys, and it can be rotated in any direction, so it becomes easy if you are trying to shoot something overhead, or if you are lying on the ground and you are trying to shoot something at a very low angle guys. Now talking about the image quality from this camera, it has a 16 megapixel sensor, which is quite good. So I'm gonna put onto the screen the sample photos that I've taken with this camera, and the kind of quality that I got with this camera was awesome. The photos were having really nice dynamic range and the colors straight out of the camera. I haven't done any editing whatsoever in the photos. They are straight out of the camera JPEG photos and they look so spectacular guys. You would be blown away with the kind of image that you can get with this 10-year-old camera guys. And I personally like the photos a lot. I cannot actually complain because I got this camera for just 150 US dollar, which is such a good price for this camera along with the kit lens, because it features so many features. Like if you compare this camera with Nikon D3300 or D3400 or like D5000, and even if you compare it with Canon 600D or 550D, this camera is having much better features and it takes much better images and videos than all those cameras that I have mentioned, guys. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna put a sample footage of the video that I have taken with this camera, so you can check for yourself how the autofocus is gonna perform in video and how the video image quality looks like.
Okay guys, now I'm gonna try to autofocus on these small berries and then we're gonna see how the background blur gonna look like. So now these berries are in focus and I'm using the kit lens, and even with this kit lens the background blur is quite nice and the autofocus on this camera is really good. It has a continuous autofocus in the video, so you can actually change the focus during the video. So now I'm gonna try to focus on the background. So I'm gonna try to focus on those villas covered in snow, so they are in focus. So that's a good thing because not all camera can change the autofocus. So now I'm gonna try to autofocus on this tree. So now this is in focus and you can see how clearly the details are visible on this tree. And now I'm trying to gonna autofocus on the background and it looks really nice. You can see the blue sky, the dynamic range is really good out of the camera. Like compared to the Canon camera, the dynamic range is really good for a 10-year-old camera. So let's see around how the image quality gonna look like. I'm trying to show you the view and now I'm gonna try to focus on this pillar. So this is in focus and the background looks quite nicely blurred out and the image and the video is really very sharp, and the image and the video from this camera is excellent even though it is 10-year-old. I personally liked it a lot, guys.
Okay, personally I really like the video. I didn't find any problem whatsoever because this camera can do continuous autofocus in the video as well. So once you have started the video, you can actually change the autofocus point in the video as well. So this is a great thing because in D5000 you cannot do that, and in some of the other cameras which are actually lower budget one, you cannot do that. So this is really awesome in this camera actually. So now the final question. So Tom, so what are the negatives about this camera? Well guys, if you get this camera for 150 US dollar, you cannot actually complain much. I didn't see anything much negative. It has almost all the features that you would want in a decent professional camera. It can do the job. I would say it is one of the most balanced and most all-rounder camera which can do all the job, because it can do great video job. It has a microphone input, it has a vari-angle screen which you can see and frame yourself, and it can shoot really great landscape image and portrait image. It has a great dynamic range. Low light performance is also quite nice. So it has almost everything combined into a very small package, and that too on a very small budget. So many features in this camera, so you cannot actually say that there is anything negative about this camera. It is a perfect camera. If you like compare it with other cameras which I have already talked about, the kind of features you get in this camera are much better for money compared to them. So if you are starting out as a hobby photographer, or you want to do, you want a backup camera for yourself, so this is a great choice actually. It will do everything. And for like amateur photographer who want to do YouTubing and make their own videos, or want to make cinematic videos, and also like do some photography in general, it is a great camera. So I would always recommend this camera compared to the D3000 series camera or Canon 550D or 600D or 650D, because the kind of image you can get out of this camera is much better than those camera and the other Nikon other Canon camera that I have talked about, guys. Should you get this camera in 2022? Yeah, of course, because the results that you got with this camera 10 years back are still relevant even now you get the same results, and the image quality is gonna be perfectly fine even for professional photography in today's era. Okay guys, I hope you like the video. If you like the video, press the like button. You can follow me on Instagram as well. You can see my ID on the screen as well. If you have any question, you can directly message me there. And please subscribe and press the bell icon, and I see you in the next video guys.